Isn't it more expensive though than you guys were thinking?
It's a lot more expensive than we were thinking. Flagstaff, I don't know why.
You think it's easy to build your ideal life in a small mountain town? Well, not if you're Kody Brown. That is, what his neighbors just revealed changes everything. Hi, everyone. It's John from Reality Check. Welcome back to the channel. It's Friday, and I know Fridays are hard on you guys, too. So today, you're getting a voiceover. But trust me, what I have to say more than makes up for it. Because 2 days ago, I got the email, and it was from someone you wouldn't expect, a direct neighbor of Kody Brown out at Coyote Pass. And what did they want to say? Let's just say, this rabbit hole goes deep. Hold on, because this is not a tale of one family. It's a tangled network of promise, pressure, and a parcel of property that's becoming more disputed by the day. Here's how it started. I got an email in my box from a resident who owns property within Coyote Pass. As it turns out, the Browns don't own the only property out there. And as difficult as it is to imagine, people do live there. The neighbor was so nice, not here to bash Kody. In fact, they described him as cordial, even friendly, but only when he decides to make an appearance. But here's where it gets interesting. Supposedly, Kody's the only one the neighbors ever see, and his wives? Ghosts. And wait until you hear about Robin's infamous bench. I asked if they've ever seen Robin just sitting outside, like the show sometimes portrays. And the answer? A flat out no. Never. Not once. And when it came to Janelle, remember when she lived in that RV? Apparently, none of the neighbors had any problem with her residing there. In fact, she waved, smiled. Total class act. So, what's the real issue? If the neighbors liked Janelle, why has the land been such a lightning rod for drama? The answer, infrastructure nightmares, and Kody himself. Here's what you don't see on TV. The Coyote Pass region is made up mostly of summer homes. It's a getaway from the heat for wealthy Phoenix and Scottsdale residents. So if Kody wants to live there full-time, he'll be living among people who aren't even there most of the year. Sounds perfect, right? But only superficially. For under that mountain soil is a buried problem, literally, and it took neighbors years to get Kody to deal with it. Let me tell you, most of the homes share a deep joint well, but hooking up to it is not simple. Then there's the electricity problem. The utilities won't run lines unless the property's occupied, which Kody's isn't. Remember that large cistern Kody was seen burying on the show? Yes, the one his son Solomon plunged into. You saw the moment. What you didn't see is that it took 2 years of delays, neighbor frustration, and backlash to finish. And take a guess when Kody finally put it under wraps. Not 2 years ago, October of this year, after neighbors practically pleaded with him to stop stalling. So here's the million-dollar question. With mounting tension, expensive delays, and essentially zero progress, will the Browns ever build at Coyote Pass? Or is this another dream that never leaves the blueprint? That cistern Kody ultimately buried? Yeah. It seems the wait wasn't just annoying his neighbors, it essentially ruined the shared road to it. The work left the road in complete disarray, and the outrage in the neighborhood is growing. Now assured, mutual traffic disagreements are par for the course in these rural setups. But when one homeowner's slowdown jams the whole neighborhood and destroys shared infrastructure, that's a different story. But it's worse, because what's underground may be more complicated than what's out in the open. Let's talk about the water setup and why the neighbors are quietly fed up with it. The water setup is technically functioning. They have a large community well, and the system allows water to be sucked in into individual cisterns that each house uses. They pump the water from the cisterns into the homes. So, no, they don't need to tote water. The system's pretty smart when it functions. Here's the catch. While most of the inhabitants maintain their systems in good working order, Kody, he's at it again, procrastinating. Neighbors say the installation was delayed in its entirety because of him, and they're tired of waiting. So, if water's finally coming, what's the holdup? Why hasn't a single house been constructed yet? The reason may surprise you, and it has to do with money, loans, and something Kody admitted on TV. Here's the part that surprised the neighbor into double taking. Most people around here use construction loans from a bank. You get qualified, the bank pays out in installments, and you have 3 or 4 years to complete your construction. But Kody, he's doing it the hard way. He's paying the seller himself, holding himself back by insisting that he pay off the land first before he constructs anything. That's not only unconventional, it's almost bankrupting crazy in today's market. But imagine if he had the money in his pocket tomorrow. There's another hurdle. And this one's deep, deep under Coyote Pass. Literally, Kody has talked of splitting the land up into 5 separate lots. But there's an extremely big problem. One of the lots, it's got a large pipeline running through it, and that entails strict building codes. Add to that, of course, the so-called pond he always refers to. It's not a pond, neighbors say. It's a drainage ditch, empty 95% of the time, and full not with crystal clear mountain spring water, but with runoff and animal feces. Not quite the backyard paradise the show promised. And here's the catch. Kody wants to build his house right there, but he may not be able to do it legally. So how much does it cost to build somewhere else on the property? Prepare yourself. Here's the inside dope. Flagstaff is too expensive to build at the moment. According to one local who's constructing his own home, the going rate is in the range of $488 per square foot. Let's do the math. Kody and Robin's current home? Over 4,000 square feet. Building something like it on Coyote Pass would run him less than $2 million. That's for a single house. Just 4 or 5 houses times that, such as he did in Vegas, and before you know it, we're looking at up to $10 million in construction alone. And no permits, no surveyors, no soil tests, nothing. The land just sits idle, and the dream's still on paper. Just questioned the neighbor as to whether any land surveying had been done. No, they indicated, and I double-checked to be certain. No permits have been drawn, no easements filed, nothing has been submitted. It's not something you just do in this area. Before even getting plans drawn, a licensed surveyor has to come in and stake out every single tree, and we're talking heavy woods. The neighbor said their own survey took them an entire day. And Kody, he hasn't even started. So, what is the reality? Is Coyote Pass nothing more than a dusty reminder of promises that will never be fulfilled, or is something else going on? Here's what we know. Kody Brown owns property. He has a plan, at least on paper. But so far, it's been years, and the only thing that's progressing is the irritation of his neighbors. Okay, things get pretty weird from here. Even if Kody were able to get past the easement issues, even if he purchased out the land, there's still one giant problem. Nobody is willing to work with him. I asked whether Kody had made contact with any in-area contractors, and the answer was yes. He has reached out to builders already working in the area, but here's the catch. He allegedly offered them exposure on TLC instead of actual money. You heard that correctly. Pour the slab for me, Kody allegedly told them, and you can be on TV. Let's just say that wasn't an offer they wanted to take. These are not social media influencers. They are licensed builders. And if you're working on a $2 million job, exposure isn't enough. But suppose he did a construction loan. Could Kody possibly get help from the bank? Well, it's not that simple either. Technically, yes, he could attempt to get a construction loan. But there's a catch. Interest rates are nasty these days. Locals report construction loans in that area are running around 8% interest. That's much higher than a couple years ago, and the market in Flagstaff has exploded since then. Some properties in the area have doubled in price over the past 5 years. So Kody's land, which he thought was a smart buy back then, may now be too expensive to build on. The reality, Kody may have priced himself out of his own property. And while it looks like they're prepping to build, it may all be for show. Let's talk about those infamous logs you've seen on the show. You've seen the videos Kody and the wives stripping logs, just hanging out with tools, trying to look busy. So I went up to the neighbor. What are they doing with these logs? Are they preparing to build a log house? Their answer: those trees were only cut down to cover the cistern. That's all. And the logs. If Kody is going to build an actual log cabin, he's far off. In Flagstaff, you don't just go out and cut down a tree and start peeling it. Logs have to be harvested professionally, dried out, treated and prepared, or they're not structurally sound, Kody. He's been hand stripping raw logs and hasn't cut down any more trees since the cistern went in. That picture of him working on the land then, it could be just that, a picture. And if you glanced around and believed that log cabin on the pass side was Kody's home of dreams being built, think twice. That adorable log home you see coming into Coyote Pass. The neighbor told us for sure it belongs to another person who lives there part of the year. Kody has not built anything. No permits, no activity, no groundwork. A few logs, a cistern with a cover, and a long list of irate neighbors holding out for the repair of their road. And that bench Robin was spotted on? Still empty. No building, no construction, just whispers in the woods, and one very expensive dream that may never come to be. So here's where we stand. No survey, no permits, no contractors, no money and neighbors. Finito. Let me know what you have to say is happening in the comments.